Coming up next on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, we take an in-depth look at the reset that WWE needs to make wrestling watchable again. We also have details on how you can join us at a private suite at WrestleMania 31. Tickets went on sale this past weekend. And so much more with a look back at the week in professional wrestling from Raw and Impact and SmackDown as well. Right here, right now on My 24 Milwaukee.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report PrimeTime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts, David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time Saturday night right here on My 24 Milwaukee. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time knockout, straight-edge, hardcore, goat-face Hall of Famer hero. How are you here on November 15th?
I'm happy to be back. It's great.
Were you gone?
I was gone last week.
Oh, yeah. You were traveling. You were out at the big event in New York City.
I was in New York City.
Yes, yes.
How about that?
I've heard some things. I've read some online reports about your behavior out there. And
I was very well behaved. I was. Scotty Too Hottie, different story.
Well, let's get right down to it, folks, with this week's WWE report. And we've got a couple of weeks' worth of material to share with you, as we were not with you with a new episode last week. However, thanks. Linda did a great job last week in that interview special.
She did. Absolutely.
But Ryback, we saw him come back a couple of weeks ago on WWE Raw, and this past Monday night on Raw, Ryback starts the show aligned with The Authority, ends the show aligned with John Cena. He is now a part of Team Cena going into the Survivor Series, which is just next weekend on pay-per-view or free if you are a new subscriber to the WWE Network.
You're still paying for it.
How?
$9.99.
Not if you get the month of November free if you're a new subscriber to the WWE Network.
Okay. So you're not paying anything for it.
Ryback.
So there's no buys.
Ryback.
How about Ryback?
You know, they're putting him in a pretty elevated position.
They need to. Who else can do what he does?
Which is what?
He is a superhero. He is larger than life. He's he's like Bane of Batman.
I understand what he talks.
He's a butt kicker and everything. He's much needed right now. The Ryback of old when he was chasing CM Punk. That's the Ryback we need.
Last Ryback we saw was one half of the team Rybaxel, if you will, with
terrible
Curtis Axel. Ryback now part of Team Cena, as we said. Let's go over the team so far for the Survivor Series. Team Authority versus Team Cena. And as you know, the Authority loses power in WWE if they lose the match. So, making up the team of the Authority would be Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. You know, he's sat in that very chair here in this very studio.
He did. He didn't keep it warm.
Kane, Rusev, the United States champion, Mark Henry, and yet another participant to be determined. Interesting team. Lots of big men. Kane, Rusev,
well,
Henry.
they want monsters. That's what's going to win. I mean, they have their technician with Rollins. Mark Henry, the world's strongest man. You know, Kane, he's there just because he's part of the Authority. I think Triple H should be on the team.
Ah, do you think that might happen?
I hope he does. Listen, if I have the chance to lose my power, I want to at least be representing myself.
If not Trips, who?
Well, no, they got, what's his name took that spot?
Swagger?
I don't want to say Luke Gallows. It's not Luke Gallows.
Yes.
Harper. Luke Harper. Mm-hmm. Luke Harper is the last.
Was that official, though?
Yes. You know, so now they got all these giants and Seth Rollins. What? What?
It's true.
It is true. But they have all the, okay. It's like playing chess. They got to protect the king, right? So you have all the big pawns out in front, making sure no one gets a hold of Money in the Bank.
That is one of the most dynamic analogies you've ever made. Congratulations.
I'm dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You're an analogy.
Team Cena is obviously John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, the Intercontinental Champion, The Big Show, Sheamus, and I don't know, was there another participant named on that team as well, since you seem to have
Ryback.
Oh, yes, Ryback.
Did you watch anything this week?
I watched Raw, I watched Impact, I watched SmackDown. I didn't watch Lucha Libre USA.
It's underground. Is that Jameson in that? Is that the problem we got today?
No. A pretty substantial team, and the first person named to that team was Dolph Ziggler in a pretty major way.
I feel bad for Swagger.
Why so?
He's a great talent. I would love to see Jack Swagger on that team. But I would rather see him than Big Show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no disrespect to Big Show. He's had an amazing run, an amazing career.
Well, Survivor Series next week on pay-per-view. We're going to be in St. Louis.
Do you know what the heel team reminds me of?
Who dat?
The very first Survivor Series team, when they had Andre the Giant, one-man gang, King Kong Bundy. I want to say, it wasn't Don Morocco. It was Butch Reed, and there was one other.
Yeah, Butch Reed's my uncle.
I know, but he had the blonde hair. All those big monster heels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Let's talk a little bit about SmackDown from just last night. Chris Jericho back on WWE Air over in the UK. Opens the show up with the highlight reel. His guests, The Authority, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon.
That's a long way to take Chris Jericho.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was he touring over there?
I'm not sure.
Well, we can ask somebody.
SmackDown last night, several great matchups, and it was good to see Chris Jericho back. It really was. Chris Jericho.
He hasn't been gone that long. It's not like he's been gone for 6 months. You don't say that when Batista came back.
No, I didn't say that when
No.
Batista came back. Moving right along, Daniel Bryan recently did an interview with Sports Illustrated. Daniel Bryan saying in that interview he does not know when he's going to be able to return to WWE action, and he hopes that it happens by WrestleMania. Also revealing the challenges that he has right now is that he has lost a feeling in one of his hands due to his neck situation, and the doctors don't quite know how to resolve that. So unknown as to when the Daniel Bryan will be back.
You're married to a Bella and you lose the feeling in one of your hands.
It's a Seinfeld episode.
Can it get any worse than that?
If you had to guess, David Hero, we've got two big names out right now with injury, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. Obviously, well, not obviously, but who do you think is back first, and when do you think
there's no doubt
happens?
Reigns is back by the Rumble.
By the Rumble?
Yes.
What about Daniel Bryan?
I don't know. I mean, if he's back by WrestleMania, that would be great. That's the best case scenario. He may never come back.
Never?
Never.
Forever, ever?
Forever, ever.
Huh. Well, perhaps he'll be back by the time SmackDown moves to a new night. You know, this got out earlier in the year, and now it is official. WWE announcing that SmackDown is going to be moving to Thursdays starting January 5th.
But you know what's interesting about that? Is SmackDown's going to be on Thursdays, but it's going to air Wednesdays in Canada.
Yes, it will. Well, things are different up north.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
It's like getting the lottery numbers a day early.
Later on, we're going to talk about the state of WWE, if you will, coming off the heels of your DWHS from a couple of weeks ago. This past Monday's Raw was yet another example. It wasn't a bad episode, folks, but it was another example of a 3-hour tour on a Monday night that when it started, I was in one place. When it ended, I was in the same place. So why did I watch?
You're on your couch.
So much more to come here, folks, on the Pro Wrestling Report, including this week's TNA report. We've got details on Sweet and Sexy coming to WrestleMania in San Jose. You can get exclusive tickets to that event tonight. David's got Diamond for the Ring and the Event Center. All that when we come back right here on the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night.
When you're diamond shopping, variety is important. At Robert Hack Diamonds, we'll show you multiple diamonds side by side underneath the microscope and show you what to look for when buying a diamond. GIA graduate gemologists are on staff for expert diamond grading. Robert Hack has affordable prices on all diamonds, including diamonds certified by the GIA. Need a mounting for your diamond? Our selection is huge. Buy your diamonds today at Robert Hack Diamonds or visit roberthackdiamonds.com.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night here on My 24 Milwaukee. Damian Nelson sitting alongside that guy, David Hero. And let's go to this week's TNA Impact Wrestling Report. We saw this past Wednesday on Spike TV, brand new tag team champions of the world crowned in Abyss and James Storm. This segment, actually, David Hero, to open the show, I was confused at first when James Storm came out because he had another wrestling show starting with an in-ring promo, but It was well done, actually. It was a tight little story that made sense and had a payoff at the end.
I was there when that was all being taped. It didn't start any show. So I was confused when that was the opening segment. I'm like, oh, did I miss something? But it just started.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone forgot that James Storm had the briefcase.
Well, I think that it was a bit of a stretch the way they had to go back and try to explain to us that he did indeed have the feast or fired briefcase.
Yes.
That we hadn't seen in a year.
Yeah, well, I hadn't seen it in a year. And, of course, Abyss comes out, who will be at Blizzard Brawl this year, your dear, good close personal, longtime friend. Because he wears a mask?
No, because he's abusive, he's a jerk, and he attacked me, and you did not do anything to help.
Because he didn't bother me. I appreciate you, though. Yeah, I mean, what an unlikely pairing. It seems like Storm likes guys that put stuff on their face. Masks, paint. You know, he has Manic. He has Sonata, which sounds like a hybrid car. And Abyss now.
Is Abyss being properly utilized by that company?
Not at all.
Could he be their monster champion?
He should be their monster champion.
Dissension, speaking of champions, in the ranks of Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Kenny King. Bobby Lashley trying to find MVP after leaving him high and dry in the ring last week.
Well, he really didn't. I mean, it was a great match. But it was a great match. It was a competitive match. And was MVP supposed to, you know, get involved again? Obviously, they need dissension there. They want Bobby Lashley and MVP to have a program. I think they took the belt off Bobby Lashley too soon.
Yeah.
Way too soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, Bobby Lashley is not great at being a standalone talent. He needs others to speak for him, I feel.
I think he's a great talker.
Really?
He's well-spoken.
He's very well-spoken. He's articulate. He's been on this very program.
He just lacks a little bit of fire.
Yes.
You know, he doesn't have that, you know. Yeah, exactly.
Here's the problem, though, I had with Impact Wrestling and that I've had with Impact Wrestling, and you were there. I understand the Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards thing either, by the way. But it looked like, and I don't mean to knock it.
Well, but you're gonna. Here it comes.
They were in a high school gym. Building was very dark.
Well, yeah.
Just had no atmosphere. The crowd was obviously tired.
But let's be honest. I was there for, I think, 2 or 3 of the nights of tapings. You're in the same building for 4 nights in a row.
Yeah.
One night you had 200 people. The next night you had 4. The following night you maybe had 550. The last night you had 800. And they're long tapings. So you have to, on all the different tapings, they like cut and paste different segments in different shows.
You know, a lot of people knock that too. But remember when Raw used to tape, was it 4 weeks in a row?
Yeah, even Wrestling Superstars and Challenge. I remember coming to the Mecca one time, and it was like a 6-hour TV taping.
Yeah. Anyways, that's this week's TNA Impact Report. No update on their TV
Let's talk about that for a second. Bully Ray sent out a tweet this week. Did you see it?
I'm not on Twitter anymore.
Oh, that's right. You stopped. You quit. Yeah. Cryptic tweet. Mentioning how if the generals don't tell the soldiers what's going on, let's consider the war lost and everybody dead. And I'm just paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what it was said, but that was the nuts and bolts of it. Yeah. Okay? I've talked to the talents in TNA.
Yes.
Nobody knows anything. Have no clue. To the point where some of the talents don't know if they're going to have, after their European tour in January, there's no live events on the calendar for February or March yet.
Which means there's no what in their pockets.
Well, there's no money. They're not getting paid.
And they can't do what else? Well, they can't work on other shows. Well, they can do independent shows.
They can do independents, but
they still can't do pay-per-views.
WWE is not going to hire any of them because they've had the opportunity and they've passed on so many. The TNA talents are in a tough spot.
Is Dixie Carter screwing the talents right now? I'm sorry, that is not fair. Is TNA screwing their talents over right now?
I was going to say, be careful how you say that. I don't think they are being honest with the talents. I think that's a better way of saying it.
Should they be more flexible in allowing their talents to do other things, given the current situation?
I mean, they are. I mean, you know, Tommy Dreamer has a huge show tonight. His House of Hardcore's in Philadelphia. He has at least 20 different talents on there. But, I mean, the fact is that these guys get paid per show. A lot of them do. Some of them have guaranteed contracts, not many. But, I mean, they are, and on the independent scene, what's happening is when you have an entire roster of talent out there looking for work on the independents, now they have to cut their price.
Yep.
Because now you have 20 other guys trying to get on these smaller independents, and now they're taking less, which just kills everything.
Yeah. Well, folks, that's this week's TNA Impact Wrestling update.
And did you hear what network they might be going to?
I've heard several. What is the latest that you've heard?
I mean, they must as well go on the Home Shopping Club. I mean, some of the ones that I've heard, it's like, are you kidding? I mean, I don't even know where to find those on the dial.
Let's go to this week's Diamond of the Ring, ladies and gentlemen.
This week's Robert Hack Diamond of the Ring is the big guy, Ryback. Not only did he shake hands with John Cena and Triple H, but he spine-busted both their hearts and their spirits. He is now going to become a main event player in the Survivor Series next week in St. Louis and has made himself the main event big guy. Who do you trust when buying diamonds? I trust Robert Hack, and that is this week's Diamond of the Ring.
Solid choice. Good job.
Ryback.
I think it'd be QVC, actually, for TNA.
Isn't that a pharmacy?
That's CVS.
Oh, same thing.
We're going to take another time out, folks. When we come back, it's the Event Center, this week's DWHS, and an in-depth look at the reset that WWE needs to make wrestling watchable again. We'll be right back.
Follow us on Twitter for breaking news, live wrestling chat, and pure hilarity. Head over to twitter.com/PWR Show and be part of the conversation.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, the insurance company may try to stop you from getting what's fair.
After my car wreck, the insurance company tried to stop me from getting what was fair. I called Gruber Law Offices.
Be careful. Call us right away.
They better be careful. Now I've got Gruber Law Offices.
Call us. Let us get started on your case right now.
They green-lighted my case and got me $100,000.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Call 276-6666.
Welcome to the PWR Event Center, brought to you by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Complete your WrestleMania weekend with the official PWR endorsed weekend plan. It all starts Friday, March 29th, when PWR returns to WrestleCon, where you can meet all the stars of pro wrestling and even be a part of a special PrimeTime TV special that will be taped at WrestleCon. Following WrestleCon on Friday night, join us at the Shenanigans VIP Club Party at the San Jose Bar and Grill, located next to the Convention Center, hosting NXT and Access. Appearing at the party will be Kevin Nash, Thea Rosita Trinidad, and Zima Ian will be the official DJ for the night. Admission includes a red carpet meet and greet with the stars and free food and drinks all night long. Get it all for one low price right at PWRshow.com. Then on Sunday, you can join the PWR team in a private VIP suite for WrestleMania at Levi Stadium for the 5th annual Sweet and Sexy. Tickets for the suite are very limited and are available now. Sweet and Sexy tickets also include tickets to the VIP club party. Head to PWRshow.com for details on all these events to buy your tickets now. Shenanigans are coming to St. Louis for the Survivor Series on November 23rd. This free event will be held at the world-famous Hard Rock Cafe right next door to the Scottrade Center, which will host Survivor Series that evening. WWE Hall of Famer Mean Gene Okerlund and Thea Rosita Trinidad will be appearing for a pre-show meet and greet. RSVP for free right now at PWRshow.com. And that's it for this week's Event Center.
The Survivor Series is just 1 week away, and it's headlined with Team Authority versus Team Cena in a traditional Survivor Series match. Young talent like Ziggler, Rollins, and even Ryback will be showcased as potential main event breakout stars. But I believe the true star of the night will be John Cena. Now wait, before you all boo and chant Cena sucks, Cena will be the focal point when Rusev beats him for the win for Team Authority. Cena knows that is what is best for business, and that for the company to be profitable and to have stars, he needs to put Rusev over to set up a future program. Rusev is the guy. He is the star. He has defeated everyone the company has put before him, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. With Rusev helping the Authority win, he will then have nuclear heat with the audience, which is what Cena needs from him. And with that, David Hero has spoken.
Shenanigans coming to San Jose, and as Linda said earlier, sweet and sexy. You get the chance to join me, a private suite at WrestleMania 31.
That guy.
And see the show in style. And, you know, everybody who has done that in the past, we've done it in Atlanta.
Are you excited?
In New York,
Are you ready?
In New Orleans, we did it in Miami. I am excited. I am ready. But it is the only way to watch WrestleMania is from that private suite. So go to PWRshow.com right now.
Well, and you know why it's so great? Because if you're like me, your phone battery starts to die. You can go plug it in, grab a drink, sit on the couch, relax.
There's extra room.
And you never know who's going to pop in with us.
You never know.
I mean, we've had Road Dogg stop in. We've had X-Pac. We've had Al Snow over the years.
Maria Kanellis.
Yes. It's amazing. Rhino.
So PWRshow.com, again, is the place to go to get those tickets. Now, let's go in depth, ladies and gentlemen, and talk a little bit about what could be a bit of a controversial topic, but one many of you have been talking about as of late. 2 weeks ago.
Are you sure you want to do this? You know how controversial stuff goes with us.
I have a journalistic responsibility to do this.
Okay, great.
2 weeks ago in DWHS, this guy talked about the current state of WWE, and quite frankly, I think it warrants just a bit more discussion. Well, a lot was said in that segment, and we reached out to the PWR viewers to get their take on the current WWE product on our Facebook and Twitter pages. So now let's share some of them with you and discuss. So listen closely. David Hero.
Yes.
Firstly, on Facebook, a person by the name of Leon Preston says, and I quote, WWE is hit and miss. Ambrose and Rollins are booked pretty well. Ziggler is getting better matches mostly than he's had in a while. And Rusev has been built as a strong heel. But then they're ruining Sandow, wasting the Wyatts. The Authority is feeling like a tired story. John Cena is still being John Cena. The title is not being defended, which is bad for business. And the tag titles, after a good run of strong matches, seems to have gone off the boil again.
Boil?
Boy, that's what it says.
That's an imperfection.
2 points I think worth discussing in that. Firstly, the absent champion in Brock Lesnar.
I don't think it's being missed.
Maybe the point needs to be made again. I don't think so at all. I absolutely don't miss him. Because if you look back into the days of wrestling before the title belt became what?
A prop.
A prop. The champion was not on every show. The champion was not always featured. The champion was a special attraction.
Yes.
And you only saw the champion when big things were happening or needed to happen. The other point within that is wasting or ruining Sandow.
Not at all.
Damien Sandow
He's
is
on
one
TV
of the
every
most
week.
entertaining characters in all of professional wrestling right now.
Sandow was not getting this reaction from the audience when he was wrestling every week losing.
Yeah. Thank you very much for those comments, though, Liam. Next comes from Craig Reynolds on Facebook, who said, and I quote, WWE is very weak at the moment. Same matches nearly every week. Pay-per-views are predictable, and a WWE champion you never see.
Wasn't that predictable for me a couple weeks ago. I got every match wrong almost.
That is a good point, actually, for Hell in a Cell, be the booker.
It was terrible. But that's how I would have booked it. It wasn't really prediction, but yeah. And it's interesting because we've talked with people in WWE about the matches, and they don't like having cold matches anymore, they said. They want a reason for it, which I think is a mistake. You only see Dolph Ziggler against Cesaro so many times, no matter how good the match is.
But the fact of the matter is,
I mean, hold on, think about it. Remember how good Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage was? Mm-hmm. How many times do we ever really see that match? Not every week.
It is a great
point. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true.
You didn't see Kurt Hennig versus Bret Hart every week on TV.
But here's the thing. They've got 3 hours on Monday, 2 hours on Friday, 1 hour on, Tuesday for main event, to film.
Yes.
And while it's great for their overall business and the revenues they're generating for that programming, it's a lot of, it's like watching an epic movie every Monday night.
Right now, their concern is you have 6 hours of TV in a week. Mm-hmm. 9 with a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Okay? You cannot afford to work some of these main event talents too hard where they burn out and get hurt. Sure. They can't afford to have John Cena get hurt right now.
At all.
They can't.
Yeah.
He's the golden goose. I don't care what you say. Boo him, cheer him, whatever else it is. He's the only guy that truly matters on that TV. He's the only guy that sells that building. And say I'm wrong, I still see the most T-shirts and hats and wristbands sold is John Cena. You know what the real problem with the Authority is? Triple H and Stephanie are so much better than everybody else that they're in the ring with. they make everyone else look silly. So they almost have to dumb themselves down to be at the same level because they're just so good at what they do. Triple H can get away with saying whatever he wants in the ring. He laughed at Jack Swagger. He called Dolph Ziggler the little guy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how he feels. And Stephanie, all the divas in the back are terrified of her.
Have they defined the role or really told us who Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble are? I found it that it was awkward when they were at ringside during Seth Rollins' match because they haven't really told us.
They're the Stooges.
Yeah, but I don't think they haven't told us.
They don't have to. We know. You of all people should know better what a Stooge is.
I'm sorry?
Absolutely.
Over on Twitter, at Sergeant Kickarse said, and I quote, "Raw is too long. The heel authority stories are lame. The roster cuts mean roster is overexposed." I'm not sure what that means. All that leads to people turning off.
Everyone's saying that. Everyone's still watching.
No, not everyone's still watching.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Remember, back in the day, 9-10 million people watch wrestling on Monday nights.
There was 100 less channels on a Monday night then.
Including Destination America?
Yes. And QVCS.
At JPrice02 says, and I quote, "The current state of the WWE is in line with the state of WCW at the end."
No, it's not.
It just serves to hurt the business.
John should know better. You cannot compare to where WWE now is now to WCW. You can't. David Arquette will never be the champion on Monday Night Raw.
You know what? I don't think we've said this, but do you remember the death blow for WCW? What was the action AOL Time Warner took that put the company out of business?
I remember.
They canceled the programming.
Well, that didn't help.
There's another company in that same situation right now.
Yeah, 3 letters too.
At RL Scotland 1 said, and I quote, "WWE is misguided and overly scripted by writers that lack wrestling knowledge. Let the guys do their own promos rather than follow a script."
You know what? I will agree with that. A lot of the writers today have never been in the ring. That hurts because they can't relate to certain things.
We've heard on very good authority that some of the wrestling bookers, if you will, need those writers, if you will, to put the show together.
Agreed. Yes.
So it's not necessarily the experience they do or do not have. They're creating that cohesion, if you will, of all the ideas and the stories that are happening on that program.
They just don't have the talent that they used to have. It's plain and simple. There's no heels in wrestling anymore.
The Milwaukee Brewers, the Milwaukee Bucks,
yes,
Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, they're only as good as what? The players on the team, correct?
Exactly.
It's the same thing in wrestling. You're only as good as your roster.
Agreed.
And there is a ton of talent on the roster, but there are not these standout talents who can headline shows interchangeably on that roster.
And it proved that at Hell in a Cell when the main event was Rollins and Ambrose. Take away the crazy bumps, Cena Orton was better.
Thanks for all the feedback, folks, and keep the interaction going on our Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as right here if you're watching us on YouTube as well.
What happened to this thing?
This is, well, the show's over, David Hero. We're out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next week with another brand new edition of Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Saturday night. We'll see you next weekend in St. Louis with me, Gene Okerlund, at the Hard Rock Cafe right before the Survivor Series for a free meet and greet event.
You buying?